Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the NBA Front Office Show.
We have an early trade to announce.
Right off the top, we've got a trade. Let's go. Trevor Lane here, joined by Keith Smith. We've got a trade. Christian Wood going to the Dallas Mavericks. This broke last night. I'm shocked. I'm in disbelief. Houston, what are you doing? Keith, what is going on in this trade? Christian Wood going to the Mavs for the 26th pick and 4 expiring contracts that are non-rotation players. Let's start with the Mavs side because that's sunnier. Sure. What are the Mavs getting here in Christian Wood?
Yeah, they're getting a very good offensive big man. Defense has always been a little bit of a question. He's never really been put in a place where he's had to play great defense. So that's a question too. Like, does he have it in him? Dallas was a very good defensive team last year. And despite having some kind of limited players, so we'll see, what that looks like there. He's also a very good rebounder. He can shoot inside and outside. He's going to be a fantastic, screen game partner with Luka because he can roll to the basket. He can pick and pop. So yeah, I think their offense, which is in a lot of ways, that's what let them down against the Warriors. It's going to get better with this deal. And as you said, 26th pick. Yeah, were they even going to use that? Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, what were they even going to get for that? And then 4 non-rotation players. Boban I got all tongue-tied there. Boban Marjanovic, Sterling Brown, Trey Burke, Marquise Chris. Trey Burke will have to opt in for next year and pick up his player option in order to be in this trade. But much like we talked about with JaMychal Green, that'll happen because he was going to do that anyway. And he gets a little trade bonus, gets like $250,000 extra.
That's not a bad bonus.
Yeah, not bad for not doing anything, right? And then we kind of go from there. So this is where we're at right now with Dallas is they certainly they got better. Even if I'm seeing some people say Christian Wood's not perfect. Is he going to get them to the finals, to a championship? No, but they're better than they were yesterday. And you deal with the rest of it. We've got a whole offseason to go and all the way up to the trade deadline and everything else.
I've seen a lot of Rockets fans trying to justify this trade by saying Christian Wood's not that good defensively. Christian Wood can't do this. Locker room, blah, 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 blah. That's built into the price. Yep. That's already baked in. Basically the Mavs got him at that floor. You gave up stuff that would be assuming that there's going to be issues in the locker room, that he can't play defense because his offensive skill set and his fit is such that you would give up a late first for him all day, every day. Yeah. So I feel like that is there. It's low risk for the Mavs because it's already baked into the price that they paid. Now, if they had paid 2 firsts or something like that, then we could say, okay, this needs to hit for the Mavs. He needs to make sure he is great in the locker, all that, right? Great in the locker room. The defense comes around. All these things need to happen. No, I think you have built in that risk already. And this is a buy low situation for the Dallas Mavericks. This is a great trade for them. They essentially replaced to some degree, the skill set of like a Kristaps Porzingis in terms of a big who can space the floor, who can shoot, kind of lanky, can switch between the 4 and the 5 a little bit. They replaced that at a cost of hardly anything. I mean, a late first. That's it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Fraction of the cost cost them to get Porzingis, then what they paid for Porzingis after in his max extension. So yeah, absolutely. Now Wood is a free agent after this upcoming season. So, but again, that's priced into the value here because that could turn into a 1-year kind of situation if it doesn't work out. But yeah, I'm struggling to understand the folks who are screaming and yelling that Dallas didn't do well here. And there was some of that last night on social media of like, what are the Mavs doing? And then I'm just not sure what people thought that, package of 4 non-rotation guys in the 26th pick was supposed to get them. I don't know. Again, not perfect. He's not a perfect player, not a perfect person, not a perfect fit, by any means, doesn't necessarily solve all of Dallas's problems, but he's now by pretty good lengths, the best offensive big on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's worth something, for a team that
Absolutely.
at times really struggled to score points in the playoffs.
And like I said, that's it. The possibility of him not being a fit is baked into the cost. So you absolutely take this gamble every single day. For the Houston side, what are the Rockets doing here? I mean, to me, they got fleeced in this deal, but tell me what did they get here that made sense? And I don't buy the whole, well, we need to free up playing time for Alper and Sengun. To me, that doesn't mean you take a below market value trade just to say, well, hey, we got him minutes. You could accomplish that just by changing your rotation. So what do the Rockets really get out here? What's the benefit for them to do this trade?
I don't know what the timestamp is here, 5 minutes-ish into the show, 6 minutes, whatever it is. Mark it down. Trevor and Keith disagree. Rare.
I am no, and this we should put this disclaimer in. I have long been high on Christian Wood in terms of his talent, in terms of his fit in a lot of different places. So that is part of that. That is added into this here. But again, what did they get?
There's a tweet that goes around anytime a good Christian Wood thing happens that I wrote years ago, literally, I think like 3-4 years ago, about like, what are the Bucks doing? Like, just bring Christian Wood up from the G League. Like, this guy's killing it down there. He can really play. So I'm with you. I'm a big Christian Wood guy too. I get what you're saying about, did you just take a bad deal to free up playing time and all that? Fully understand that. I think though this also represents, was there anything better out there? The 4 players had to be in the deal because that's how you have to match salary to make it happen. And if you're Houston, you just waive them and move on or retrade them or do whatever you want to do. So that part I'm not really. So it's really, this boils down to it's 26 for
26 for Christian Wood. Right.
So when I look at this from the Rocket side was there a better deal out there? Was anybody going to offer anything better than number 26? We don't know. Right? Because that's a challenge. Or was it going to turn into, hey, instead of taking 4 minimal salaries back, you got to take one $15 million player back, to bring in. And then that causes an issue that way. The playing time thing, though, is real. They want Alper and Sengun to probably start next year. And on top of that, they're going to draft one of Smith, Banchero, or Holmgren in the first round, and that's another big. Jayshawn Tate, super undersized, but he really plays like a 4. So now what you're turning into is if you want to play all those guys and maybe have some minutes for Kenyon Martin Jr., who they like, you can't have Christian Wood on the team. There's been a lot of stories that have come out that Wood was already complaining about his playing time, the direction of the team. He didn't like where things were going. So unless you truly believe, hey, you could have got the 15th pick, the 20th pick, whatever it is, which maybe they could have, I don't know. But my guess is they didn't just take the first offer that came their way. This was not this guy, we got to get this guy out of here at all costs. My guess is they canvassed the league, came back with, all right, this is the best we can do. We're gonna run with this, and we're gonna take this deal and go, and then we'll rebuild our young group around Sengun, whichever big we draft. That'll be our front court pairing moving forward.
To me, it feels like a fire sale deal. It feels like we have to get this guy off of our roster, just in terms of the return, because right now I'm seeing fans of 28 teams say, why didn't we get in on this?
Sure.
And that to me, like, the general sentiment that I'm seeing out there is, oh my gosh, if that's all it costs, like why wouldn't we try to go get this guy? Sure. So I am still very underwhelmed by what the Houston Rockets got in return. Now, again, can this still work for them? Sure. Yeah. But I think some things have to happen. Like, from the Mavs side, I see this as, in the worst case, it's still a worthwhile gamble. From the Rocket side, I see this as, Sengun's got to do really well in those minutes. Christian Wood has to kind of flame out in Dallas, has to be a locker room problem, that kind of stuff. Or you got to find somebody with the 26th pick that really makes a difference. Like, if that kind of stuff happens, then in hindsight, we can look back and say, you know what, this was the right move. But on the surface, right now, given the information that we have at this moment, I'm very underwhelmed by what the Rockets got in return for a pretty talented player.
Yeah, my guess is so. One of the places where I've seen some real consternation was why weren't the Hornets involved? They need a center.
Absolutely.
Well, why did they not give up 13 or 15 and go get Christian Wood? Well, here's the challenge: is though matching salary matters, and was it
Mhm.
going to be, hey, we'll do 13 and Gordon Hayward for Wood and Eric Gordon, and then the Rockets like, no, we don't want the Gordon Hayward contract. We don't need that kind of cluttering up our books. That's where it's right there. We say this all the time. There's always two sides to a trade, right? Sometimes three, sometimes four, but there's always at least two. And
Right.
I think it becomes a fact of I rarely do I believe that it comes back out there of like, yeah, there were better offers, right? Rafael Stone is not going to stand up there later and say, well, we had better offers, but we took this one, right? I mean, that's
Sure.
never going to happen anyway.
Right.
In all the, well, couldn't so and so beat that? Well, I mean, could they? Like, I don't know. Like, that's the challenge, I think, is because to get a better pick, you're probably taking back worse money. That's maybe
Mhm.
longer term in this situation. And I think what we're seeing in this return is it's hard because we both really like Christian Wood quite
Yeah.
a bit. But I think we're seeing, I don't know that the NBA likes him quite as much as we like him.
And that's certainly possible. That could be factored into this return here for the Rockets. Big picture though, what does this mean for the trade market? Because I looked at this and I thought either it could mean nothing, and this is an outlier trade, and teams will just look at this and say, no, the Rockets probably didn't get enough. This doesn't do anything for setting the future market. I mean, we see sometimes where free agency, like one free agent goes off the board at a specific position, and that sets the market for everybody else at that position. That happens. So what does this mean for the market? Does this mean that picks are going to be pretty valuable? Or does this mean that players are going to be pretty cheap to acquire? Or does this mean nothing? Is this just it's not going to change anything on the market because it's going to be seen as the outlier trade rather than something that follows with the trend in terms of cost?
I tend to fall somewhere between the picks are going to be pretty valuable and the this doesn't really mean anything. I tend to think every trade is its own individual event, right? It is different from free agency in the respect of in free agency, it is like if Tyus Jones signs first and gets $20 million a year, well, Jalen Brunson's then's coming in and demanding 25, like we talked about yesterday, right? So that is a real thing that happens. There's often why agents always get your deal done early, right? Because then you're done. And you can get the most that's out there without having to sit there. It's the same thing is sometimes it works the other way. Sometimes like, hey, that guy only signed for 15. Why are we going to give you 20? Right. And that becomes a challenge. Now with trades, yeah, I tend to think though it is saying draft picks are being pretty highly valued right now. I think it's funny. I was just on the radio in Portland this morning, and they're like, "What can we get for the 7th pick then?" And it's like,
if 26 got Christian Wood, right? Like if you've got a pick right now, you're going, yes,
yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, if you're the Hornets sitting on 13 and 15, you might be feeling pretty good of like, hey, we can move that. And I do think there's going to be some of that, right? There's going to be some of like. But teams will also use it as, well, you only got the 26th pick, so why would we give you a really good pick? But it will have some semblance of impact. I just don't know that's going to be anything where it's like, yep, that's it, that locked everything in. So it will be very fun now to monitor it. But again, I said this on Twitter last night after this. There's a reason we've been hammering for. It's at least been a month now, if not
Summer
longer.
trade.
Summer of the trade, right?
That's right.
This is it.
It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's move on here. Let's talk a little bit about the draft. Jaden Ivey, reportedly not interested in going to the Kings. Not great when you've got the 4th pick in the draft in a top 3 potentially draft, and Jaden Ivey is one of the guys that's in consideration right there at number 4. How much does this matter, though? I mean, we've seen situations like Steph Curry didn't want to go to the Warriors, and the Warriors just said, taking you anyway. Sometimes it goes the other way. Kobe didn't want to go to the Nets, and so they said, okay, we'll take Kerry Kittles instead then. What? Thank you, Nets. What do we think about this? How much does this actually matter in terms of the Kings and their draft process?
Yeah, I don't think let it chase you off the kid. What worries me more is the medical part. And it sounds like the way the story is being reported by Jonathan Givony of ESPN that the Kings haven't been able to get his medical. That part makes me a little concerning. Now, Jaden Ivey also, though, he doesn't have like a long history of injury that I'm aware of. So that's maybe less concerning, right? He's also not a 7-footer where you really want to be able to look at those guys and like what do the back, the legs, the feet look like on those kids with that. So that part's concerning, but not super worrisome. So I do think it is a position for the Kings, though, where this is not great. And the only way this gets fixed is if they fix it, right, and start winning and start making good decisions over and over again. Yeah, exactly. Like then all of a sudden that stuff goes away and we'll go a different direction. I'm seeing some like, well, the Kings have to trade this pick now, right? They've got to move in a different direction. If this, well, you don't make a bad trade just because kid doesn't want to be there, And the reality is, the way the NBA works, fair or unfair, that's a discussion for a much later time. It doesn't matter what he wants. He's not going to not sign and not play. You don't have any control over this, really. You can try to control it to the extent of right now, of hey, I don't want to be here. Well, what's that mean? In 4 years, you're going to sign somewhere else? Kings aren't going to worry about that, right? And it's not like he's going to show up and not play hard and all those other things. So, it's if you're the Kings, you do what you think is best for you without a lot of regard for the rest.
That said, I don't fault Jaden Ivey at all.
Absolutely not.
Because I think we're getting, as time goes by, we're seeing draft prospects have a greater and greater understanding of the fact that your landing spot matters more than your draft spot. In terms of a long-term career. Now, obviously, if you can go 5, and if you don't go at 5, you're going to go at 45.
Yeah,
draft spot matters. I'm talking about within reason here, right? Yeah. Within reason. If you
Jaden Ivey knows he's not slipping past like 5 or 6. So.
Exactly. So if he's looking at it and he's saying, this team over here is a better situation for me, this is a better opportunity for me for my career to eventually become a star in this league and the kind of earnings that come with that, I have no problem with him trying to influence where he ultimately lands because, again, I think players are getting a lot smarter and understanding where it is that they land has a really big impact on exactly how their career goes. So, of course, I think they should be trying to do what they can to get to where they feel like is going to be the best situation for them.
Yeah, this can be, if the team exercises full control, this can be as long as an 8-year process where you're kind of locked in, or 7 if you did a player option on that second contract after, if you hit restricted free agency and signed elsewhere. So that's tough, right? Because that's one of those things where, you're going to be in a spot, but I don't blame the players at all. And if, let's say, right, we know Jaden Ivey's a Midwest kid. He went to school in Indiana. If let's say he wants the Pacers, and I don't know that he does. I'm not reporting that by any means. But what he's doing is, hey, Pacers, trade up and go get me, right? And we'll go. What I think is worrisome for the Kings, maybe kind of playing into this a little, is we heard all about how Tyrese Halliburton really wanted to be there, and then they traded him. Yeah. Like, that's just so tough. And I don't even hate that trade for them because I like Domantas Sabonis, I think, more than a lot of other people do. But it just is one of those things where I'm just like, that's just, these are the things they have to overcome. And there's only one way to get past it. And that's, make good decisions over and over and over and then start winning. And then all of a sudden, all this stuff will go out the window.
Absolutely. That's what it's going to take. All right. Finish up. Let's talk a little bit about Game 6. By the way, we will be on playback tonight. I'm going to put the link in the description down below, doing our live play-by-play of the game. That's going to be a lot of fun, so come join us for that. But Game 6, Celtics, Warriors, everything on the line here for Boston. Warriors are up 3-2 right now, but the game is in Boston, expecting a pretty raucous crowd. What's the feeling like among Celtics fans right now? Trepidation? Is there energy, excitement? Where are we at?
I think the vast majority are feeling that there's going to be a Game 7, that this team's going to come home, get the bounce from the crowd, and really lift themselves into a Game 7. There's certainly some. I mean, every fan base has the negative Nellies who are like, it's over, and and then I knew it was over.
Chicken Littles.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
the Celtics fan base has more than their fair share of those. I tend to believe it's the weather. They attach too much to themselves to their sports teams when you can't go outside for half of the year. But I it's overall though, I think people are confident, and I think it's weird because I don't think it's misplaced confidence either. Because when they haven't played like complete, I'll keep it clean, idiots, in this series, they've been great. They've played really well. It's when they, get caught up in nonsense stuff and arguing with the refs, and of course, when they're throwing the ball all over the gym and that kind of stuff, that's when it all falls apart. So you got to come out focused. You got to stay locked in on the game and the game only, and see where it goes, tonight. But yeah, it's I feel like they're going to win. I think, I think everything's been leading towards this being a 7-game series.
No, I agree. Looking at ESPN, their matchup predictor says 70% chance that the Celtics win this game. They are a 3.5-point favorite on the point spread as of this moment. But I agree. I think that I think Boston is the favorite to win this game. They should be. They're at home. We've been saying this would wind up going 7 games. We've been saying if the Celtics won, it would be a Celtics in 6 situation. Otherwise, this thing probably goes 7. And so that's what I'm expecting to happen tonight is a Boston win, and then we get a game 7, which I'm not going to complain about getting a game 7 in the NBA Finals. That's always a lot of fun. So that's what I think what I'm expecting to happen. But we will see. You never know with Steph Curry. You never know with Jason Tatum, with these star level players, like they can go nuts. And I think this is the kind of game where it could be decided by a role player or two on either side that has either a good or bad shooting night. That could ultimately determine the outcome of a game like this.
That's a huge thing I'm looking for here is I'm looking for Derek White, Grant Williams, Peyton Pritchard, one or two of them to step up at home with the home crowd behind them. Role players almost always play better at home. Not only play well and give production, but also allow Ime Udoka to let Brown and Tatum take a short rest at points in this game. In game 5, they played the entire second quarter, the entire third quarter, and had they needed to, they would have played the entire fourth quarter. It just got away from them in those last minute and a half or so, and they emptied the bench. But you got to get those guys a spot. Just even if it's only a couple minutes going into the quarter, where then these long TV timeouts in the finals, those extend into that turns into 7-8 minutes off your feet fully, to just catch your breath, get your legs back under you, because by the end of the game they look done, and it's not an excuse. It's more of a fact that I think he may blundered for the first time really in the postseason, blundered the rotation a little bit. And I think, but it was hard to criticize it because you weren't getting anything out of the bench. The bench was horrendous all game long. So they need to be better. And I'm not going to go into all the nonsense of this is a legacy game for Jason Tatum. He's 24 years old. Like, stop. Like, this is so dumb. But if they're going to win, they need him to be big, right? They need that game 6 against the Bucks, 46-point type performance. If he can put that together, we're going to have a game 7, and we can feel pretty good about that. And as I've been saying, because you know how it goes, you get asked everywhere, right? That's all the conversation is today. We're cramming this in between like 7 or 8 radio hits I have today. Everybody says, well, what happens in game 7, though? Are you just going to go back to Golden State? That's going to be impossible to win there. Weird stuff happens in game 7.
Anything can happen. Yep.
Yeah, weird stuff happens. Like, it's, I kind of throw where it's being played out the window to some extent, the situation, all that stuff. So, but as I think Jason Tatum put it perfect, can't win 2 on Thursday. Can only win 1. Yep. Just get game 6. Worry about game 7 later.
Go to a game 7 and the pressure flips. Right now, the pressure's on Boston to get this win tonight. Go to a game 7 and suddenly it's the Warriors were up 3-2. Are they going to blow this? That then the pressure does flip. But again, game 7, there's tons of pressure regardless.
We've seen the Warriors lose a game 7 at home. So we'll see.
All right. Well, it's going to be a fun one tonight. Make sure you do come join us over on Playback. Make sure you're also subscribing to the NBA Front Office Show over on Apple Podcasts and right here on the NBA Front Office YouTube channel as well. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.